in Little Britain where he's passing the small guy, really big cups and stuff. That's Bodruz. Like is he really far away? But if we passed him a normal size cup and then he holds it and it's a massive like.
I've seen the videos. Was it the memes of the guys in the gym, and it's like they've got the 20 what looks like a really big plate, and they pass it up, and it's just some guy there, and it's like a tiny little 5 kilogram plate type of thing. Yeah, just be like that. Hand it over.
They are big. 5 kilograms is big, Alex.
I know. Well, I've seen enough videos of you on social media recently, thanks to F45, just working out.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. They do like it. Luke, you remember Luke? Luke's just messaged me asking me to ask him what he's just deadlifted today. So he texted me before saying, go on, ask me. I dare you, ask me. So, of course, I asked him. 190 kilograms. And he's a little boy.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, see, that's it for deadlifting. Well, I was saying that Thor Bjornsson's massive, but generally for deadlifting, the shorter, the easier. If you look at it. But
lift.
What with your dumbbells? That's all we ever see is dumbbells.
That's because the weights don't go big enough for what I need. Ooh.
Dumbbells make his arms look bigger.
That was what I used to, when I was 25, 26, rugby wise, 190 was I got to like 205.
Like, man, that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, this isn't a weightlifting podcast, is it? Really?
This podcast could be about anything. We've established this long ago. If you are just tuning in, by the way, you're probably wondering what's going on. Welcome, by the way, to the International Classroom Podcast. We are all things education. Today, we're going to educate people on weightlifting and health and exercise and fitness.
No, we're not. No. I'm not qualified for that.
You don't need to be. You've not seen the influencers over here.
Shots fired.
Wow.
Every fitness influencer out there going, well, I've got a level 2. I've got a level 2 certificate. And there's nothing wrong with having some level of education, whether it's level 2, level 3.
This is very true. I say that my degree is in human biology, so BSc. Just in that one. From Loughborough University as well, by the way. So if anyone wants to challenge that one, I'm just going to throw in that one out there just for the haters. I can't wait to see the comments that come back from this one. Yeah. Well, what a way to start, guys. How's your gym? How's your gym going? Been going, Bodruz? That's what we were talking about last time.
90% of fitness influencers out there.
Well, I have been sticking with it. I'll be honest. It's we're now into month number 3. And the challenge has been, obviously, most of us, obviously, anyone who's listened to this probably is in school. And the challenge we have is, like my wife works in the corporate field. Yes, long days. But the advantage is you can get up in the morning, you can go to the gym, and you can be done with it. But we have to be in school, 7 a.m. typically. So it's really tough. But twice during the week, I'm at the gym at 5 in the morning. Yeah. So, and that's been, but to be honest, that's what it's taken. And I mean, you guys are very fit in comparison, and that I've not been a regular gym goer. But I'll be honest, I'm really enjoying it. I like the routine. Feel good. Teaching is, I don't think people appreciate it, but teaching is such a physical job. You are on your feet most of the time. This idea of you sit behind your desk and teach from the front with little clicky PowerPoints. I don't know. I'd like to know where that happens. But, you're always circulating. We have, even in the best schools, you've got 20 to 24 kids in a room. If you think you want to leave teenagers while you sit at the front for 10, 15 minutes and you're not walking around. So, all of us, it's such a physical thing, but going to the gym, actually I found I'm managing my day better. I'm not as tired physically, and I should be on paper, right? I should be, but I really am not. So see how it goes.
Fair play to you. Well done, buddy. It is one of those hard things to do, isn't it? Like working, teaching. I think working in general, but teaching and then training. There's a guy out there, I think, actually on social media who is a teacher trainer. Like he teaches, and then he's quite a hench dude, trying to get into the gym, especially for dads. But yeah, congratulations.
A couple of guys I work with are very, very fit. There's a dude, one of our PE teachers. He is. So he plays rugby for the UAE. It's called Ollie. Really, really nice guy. Got very, very close to winning the High Rocks in Sharjah.
Wow.
That's like, yeah. And to be fair to the guy, he works really hard as well because he's fixed it. You know, when it comes to time crunch, I think there's a lot to be said. I'm not a PE teacher by any chance, but I do respect the craft. As there's so much more time I feel goes into being a PE teacher. They've got to be there in the morning for morning clubs. They've got to be there after school for fixtures or training, whatever it may be. Now, granted, they may take less work home with them when it comes to marking or planning or that kind of stuff. But for any PE teachers out there that are thinking, of moving to the UAE, there are those longer days physically in school that you do have to consider. But,
yeah, you're right. You're right with what you said there. They don't have to mark anything, do they? They don't plan anything really. They just turn up and kick a ball around. Pretty much.
Cones.
Cones.
They just set cones out, don't they?
There we go. Second group of people offended today. PE teachers.
It's the same people, isn't it?
Fitness influence, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, think about if you are pretty much a phys ed teacher if you're going in there as a gym trainer, pretty much.
Yeah.
Would you? Here's he's gone again. But
he's gone again. He's gone again.
Last time it was me. Now it's him. It'll soon be you, Drew. It will soon be you.
No, this setup doesn't break. Touch wood.
Same as genuine wood.
Genuine wood.
He's gone. Don't worry.
Oh, don't need him anyway. How are you, Alex? How's the half term going? It's half term for us now. And
yeah, it is, isn't it?
It was. I feel like this one was kind of an unexpected half term for me. We didn't really plan anything for it because we were supposed to only have a couple of days. So we didn't plan to go away. We didn't plan to get a holiday in or anything like that. We just kind of, we're going to be off that week. Yeah, cool. And here we are.
So if I reflect back on the half term as a whole, so for my role, the first couple of weeks are just intense. We've got new students joining into sixth form. So it's like, right, got to get the certifications. Have they got the right GCSEs? What subjects we're going to put them onto, correct pathway. So there's meetings with myself. I'm meeting with parents, meeting with them, meeting with the careers, university counsellors. And then we do the 4-week review. So that's busy in terms of making sure there's some form of academic assessments that are taking place and data to analyse. But once that's settled down and get back into and just obviously teaching, I still teach quite a lot because we're obviously a growing school, and now we do have a year 13, but obviously expanding and growing and so on and so forth. I teach quite a lot to accommodate with that. So that's a challenge in itself. But once it settles down, here we go. It's been okay. It's been okay. There he is, back with his librarian background. But yeah, it's like I was saying, it's been good. It's intense. I think everyone you speak to about the first half term has been massively intense. But happy to make it to half term. And ours is kind of a tricky one. And we'll get into it just because it's probably one of the worst things about living internationally. So my wife, Kerry, and my eldest, Ava, have gone back to the UK for a funeral. Again, it's just one of those, and we can discuss it if we've been through it. But when you live internationally and you've got family members that start to get older, one of the challenges is traveling back, making sure you get to spend enough time with them. And if something happens, and it happens quite quickly, and which in this case it did, Kerry's gone back with Ava. She flew back on Sunday just to spend time with family, help family out, and then they fly back this Sunday, so they land Monday, as it were. So yeah, that wasn't obviously something that was expected at all, but yeah, luckily I suppose we would have given Ava the time off, with or without it, to go back. So yeah, it's just, that's my half term is me with Olivia, basically. So she isn't so bad. She's super chill.
Yeah, it could be worse, couldn't it? Like, you could have a little demon child to have to spend
This is true. This is true. She has her moments. You all know her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But how about yourself? How's yours been?
For me, it's been the first half term's been great. My new role is super nice. I'm teaching more. I'm doing the things that I love. I think we discussed it last time I was on. We're doing lots of whole school events. I get to get involved more with the actual stuff that I like doing. So I'm just doing more of the stuff I like doing. You know, it could be worse, is what I'll say. And I've been in roles before or jobs before where my time was so heavily taken outside of the classroom, outside of school, that I wasn't able to fully enjoy being in Dubai, living internationally, wasn't able to enjoy it. Like, you know, the kind of makeup for that, the financial recompense that you get is worth it, but it depends on whether you want to climb the ladder and get more money or whether you value your time more. Because as much as people say, oh, leadership shouldn't be about you doing everything or taking this out, like it takes a lot of time out of your day. It takes a lot of free time that you would spend. And I'm kind of thankful that I got to do it before I had children or before there were, you know, I don't want to say like more important things in my life. Like, my partner and I don't have kids. We got a dog. We walk him. We spend a couple of hours together every night. That was great, but a lot of our time would be spent working. Now I get to spend more time going to the gym, doing the things I enjoy. Gaming. Honestly, going to the gym and gaming. My two, the two things that I get to do more of now. And they're the two things that make me happy. And spending time with my partner as well, you know.
Throw that. Yeah, she's all right. She doesn't listen or she won't watch this, so it's fine.
No, she does. She does, to make sure I don't say anything I shouldn't be. She's like the curator.
Yeah, she's in the back. What we can't see, she's just off to the side, probably with a frying pan, just waiting for you to slip up. Bodruz, welcome back. How's your half term been?
Yeah. You could relate to this, you know, both our wives are not in education. So holidays for me, it's with my daughter, it's with my son, and so you got Lucius and Ophelia. They're very young still, you know, just turned 5 and 4. And so, you know, they're not of an age where they can kind of just go off, you know, they can go off and do an activity or go around to a mate's house and what have you. So the week, we almost have to plan it out in terms of what we're going to do. But then there's been an added factor. Mr. Lucius is now a little celebrity. So he's had a photo shoot on Monday. And so there I was, backpack in hand, and, you know, at the studio for, I think it was about 5 hours. He walked me through the mall to find the place because he knows where it is, and to the studio and to the studio manager because I had no idea who these people were. So, you know, and then he's like, right, we got to go over here. And then he goes up to the camera guy in one of the studios. He's like, you need a quick test photo? I was like, what are you doing over there? He goes, he needs a quick photo, Daddy. So, okay. I'm guessing like to, you know, test his camera and equipment and lighting and whatever have you. And then he walked over back to me, and it's quite lovely to see. And I was in two minds about this whole, you know, someone that young getting into this sort of like modeling and whatever have you. And I suppose it's kind of giving him that exposure and platform, and who knows as he grows what opportunities that will bring for him. But yeah, that's Monday, and then I got another call tomorrow before, you know, so that'll be when I arrive to meet the two of you tomorrow. I'll have Lucius with me after he's had his 4 hour or 3.5 hour shoot. So Oh yeah, it should be like 5 hours they book us for, but he's like, oh, let's get it done. And he's like 3 hours in and out. so that.
Just to clear up then, what is it for those people who are wondering, what is it he's actually modeling?
So there's a lot of online, so there's a bunch of different things. There's been, a lot of it has been online catalogs. So you might Max or Sixth Street, or any of these kind of things. So there's a lot of online catalogs. And then they also do billboards for, again, it's like clothing brands out here. And they do their social media ads. So that's really big. Social media videos. And for those ones, we have to go to location. So, Dubai's got lovely little sandy dunes and little buildings out there. So on those occasions, they're like whole day ones. So yeah, he's been quite busy. And there's this new one I've heard about, which is, the new June, the season, I think the next episode or the next season. Have you been watching the TV show or the movie Dune?
June.
Oh yeah, the movies.
So they're currently looking for people in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, we've put his name down for that to see what happens.
Is it? I think it's filmed out in the desert in Abu Dhabi.
That's right. Yeah. Again, do you know what it is? I think I was looking at most like people who are. He has So the reason behind it, he loves performing arts, and he does that in school as an ECA. And we're trying to get him into the Courtyard Playhouse for the weekends. But he really loves that. He seems to at the moment, right? Seems to really enjoy it. And when I was looking at sort of a lot of actors out there, when you look at their history, you find that they were always involved in something really early on. And someone saw them somewhere. And a lot of the gigs that he's got now, it's people who have. These are marketing managers who are like, I saw him on a billboard. I saw him in this ad and was like, right, he'd be great. So, again, life continues, school, everything else continues. This is just another string to his bow. And you know how competitive it is with Dubai. And I think the generation that they are, it's almost as if you're not doing 5 different things, you're not kind of guaranteeing an opportunity for you.
So he's paying for our lunch tomorrow, right?
Well, yeah. It'll be interesting. We've actually set up a little account for him where all of this goes into, and hopefully when he's maybe between 18 and 20, we'll see where it gets to. But it's a lovely way, and birthday money that he gets from grandparents. So. Yeah. Putting all of these things, it's a different world, right? It's a different world for these young kids. You guys are so aware of like the kids that we teach, the ECAs out here. Like on average, what would you say? How many ECAs do you think like a lot of these kids are doing?
In school or paid for ones?
Both.
Oh, so Liv and Ava do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday after school.
Wow.
Ava then does a Friday netball training. And plays netball games on Thursday after school for club. And then she has netball training Wednesday morning as well. So easily they're doing between 3 to 5 activities a week.
It's incredible. I don't know about you guys, but that wasn't my experience growing up. In London, you went to school. You left. If you happen to be pretty good at sport, which when I was younger, not so much. If you weren't in the team, you didn't really have anything. ECA was having fun at home.
Does smoking around the back of the bike sheds at school count as an extracurricular?
What every
top
school
of the class
has that.
in that.
Why do they put those bike sheds in the place? It's almost like as a
well
designer,
out of the way, it was perfect.
Always out of the way, hidden away.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Ours was next to the sixth form car park, so I would stand around the back of the bikes, and then the sixth form would all come in. This is like when I was year 10 or year 11, and the sixth form would come in, and I'd be trying to sell them cigarettes around the back, and they'd be coming in.
What kind of ECA would that
say where I got those
entrepreneurial
business and enterprise. There you go.
That's it.
You know what, Drew? They just didn't have the course for you. That's what it was.
Business studies wasn't even a thing when I was in school.
No, that's right.
I don't think it will. No. Going back a long way.
Yeah.
We're older.
Yeah.
I was quite lucky with mine. Like I played rugby and cricket, and because we lived in a village, we'd just go down to had literally a cricket field and a football field. So I just to go down and just kick, play rugby, football, and in the summer they had a net, so I could just go and practice bowling in the nets. And I would just do that as Happy and Larry. So I was really dependent on my parents. So the same here. It's like we laugh and joke about it in terms of taxiing kids around, but do a lot of that, and we'll be doing that for the remainder of this week as well with one of them. But that's just part and parcel of modern parenting now. And I think we're kind of, one of the benefits of being here and being international as well is that the expectation for ECAs and to be able to do all these different things is there, which makes it.
Sorry, Dad, do you think that's the international setting? Because earlier you were saying about the downside of, traveling and being international and missing your family, not being around for those moments. We have a lot of like kind of gaps to fill, if you like, time that they would have been playing with an auntie and uncle, or, out the weekend at the grandparents, and not having that. I think in the international scene anyway, there's a lot of kind of giving them more things to keep them rich in terms of the experiences.
A little bit. I think it also depends on where you're from in the UK. Yeah. Again, I was very, very fortunate where I grew up. We had local rugby teams I could go and play, local cricket teams that we went and played for. We played a lot of sports, different sports at school. I had friends who were into gymnastics, but again, they were like, we had to travel into Birmingham for gymnastics, or they had to go and do this. I mean, a lot of them played field hockey. And again, there was scope for that. There was clubs for that. I think it really depends on where you grow up. Like I grew up in quite a rural area in the Midlands. If you're in a city, you might be traveling on a tube for an hour, or you might have to get a train somewhere, or you might, as Drew's shaking his head, you might have access to any of it.
No, like growing up in a city, Manchester was not the place to be, trying to get to and from, especially if you're from not a super wealthy background where things that did cost money, you just simply couldn't afford to do. Your parents couldn't afford to do it. And then even if they could afford to do it, it was how do you get there? Maybe the public transport isn't as good as it could have been or is now. So getting the metro, for example, in places like Manchester, when I was growing up, there was one metro ride that was within a 25-minute walk. But that 25-minute walk for me to get to the metro station went through one of the worst neighborhoods in the UK. There's a book written about it called Gang War. Fantastic book about Gooch Close. So if anyone's familiar with Manchester and Old Trafford and the Moss Side Old Trafford area, you'll know exactly where I'm talking about. I had to walk through that if I wanted to get the metro anywhere. If I wanted to get on the bus, well, you were running the risk of and this is not an exaggeration of the place that I grew up in for between the ages of like 5 to 12, 13, 14. You were worried about getting robbed or getting mugged on the way to these things if you had to walk there. So I think the difference between what you had or what I had growing up as a child and what was available to me, there was things like youth clubs. There was a youth club on a Friday night at a place called Lostock. It was like a community youth centre, and it was a school. School in the week, and then they had this little like community club with pool tables and PlayStations and things. But that was only on a Friday night, and it was 6 till 8. It was £2 to get in. Great. There was a little tuck shop, so you could get a Twix. That was wonderful. But come 8:30, when it was throwing out time, there would always be a big gang waiting outside, basically. Because someone had started some trouble, someone had like got off with someone's girlfriend, or someone had called someone out. And do you remember, because it used to be, you used to have like your Sony Ericsson phone was the Walkman, the Sony Ericsson Walkman, and people would like rap at it, and then people would get into rap battles, but they'd send it through, it wasn't WhatsApp, it'd be like BlackBerry Messenger or BBMs. And you called me this in a rap or whatever. And it's like, it's a bit of a joke, but then evidently that would result in violence in the evening. So they ended up shutting that youth club down because it always ended up in a scrap. Compare that to where we are now in the world. That simply is just a completely different a different, like, you would never think where I live, there's a massive park out the front and kids go out and just play. They just go and play on this park and it's massive. And no one, like, there's no worry. The kids are constantly up and down, zooming on the little scooters, just having a great time, like actually having fun, being kids. And there's not really any worry that there's going to be someone's going to get kidnapped or someone's going to be stabbed or someone's going to be, you know, there's that safety element here that I think I take for granted. And I remember a few years ago, I used to think to myself when I was a bit younger, I don't know if I've ever said this to you before, but I used to think to myself how I want my kids when they grow up to have a similar life to me, because they'll be more street smart and they'll know to not leave their phone and wallet on the bar. And then I thought to myself about 2 or 3 years ago, this is like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, when I first moved to Dubai, and I was kind of like, I want my kids to have this kind of growing up that I had and be street smart and understand things and know not to take things from strangers or whatever. But now I think to myself, like, actually, why on earth would I want my children to grow up in a place where they're terrified to go outside when realistically I could just let them go and be kids and be free and run through a water fountain for banter?
Yeah, Kerry noticed that, funnily enough, when we were home last summer. And she's got friends and they were comparing kids of similar ages. And just, I think it was from a girl's perspective, but it was more just like the amount of makeup 10 and 11-year-olds were wearing, the types of clothes they were wearing, the adverts and things they were seeing and being projected to. And she kind of just came away from that and then had follow-up conversations with mums here and others. But that kids here seem to stay and be able to stay as kids for longer. So in terms of, I mean, don't get me wrong, my two are still Sephora mad, but that's just a marketing thing. It's just is what it is. But schools are quite strict on it in terms of letting kids just be kids and being able to go and do those things. And I think that's quite a refreshing part. And if you are someone who be interesting, like if you just spent the first 6 weeks here with your family or however you're finding it, it'd be interesting, different people's takes. But I strongly feel that I forget, like, because they're both 11 and 10, soon to be 12 and 10. And you think, but they're still kids. They're still kids. And I think that's kind of the nice thing about it. And Kerry appreciates that as well.
That being said, again, resonate with what you're saying, Drew, about the difficult areas of growing up, and also the fact that those are skills that are useless to me right now. You know, it was something that was necessary. And as soon as I got into university, immediately I felt the journey that I would have to go on. And it wasn't about learning. It was about etiquette. It was just about, it wasn't about the books you had to study. It was about the books that you read for fun and the ideas that you were kind of surrounded by. Because if you didn't have those ideas, you couldn't have those conversations. And while it's almost that freedom that the kids have away from worrying about being street smart, they're growing up. They're going to be able to have those conversations. You know, they're going to know a bit more about the world, in a way that's useful to them in the world that they're growing up in. And that's a beautiful thing. But I think that's because Dubai is becoming so expensive. The idea of, I think even by the time we got to Dubai, it wasn't so much, you arrive here and you're going to, you've got a bucket full of money and building castles in the sand. Even by the time we got here, that was long gone. We're talking people who came out in the 80s, maybe, they could write a blank check and those stories we've all heard. But so the people who are still coming out now on teaching salaries that, let's be honest, haven't really gone up to match the lifestyle here. We're talking about all these ECAs and as working class teachers, we're forking out for that. And Dubai's working middle class, that's growing. We talk about the uber rich who are arriving, but to sort of support and cater for the uber rich, the middle class, working class band is just exploded as well. And, the need for affordable housing. So I feel like people are coming out here not as much for the, buckets of money, but really it's what you were talking about, Drew, to be able to go outside, to play in a park, to not have to worry about a dozen different things. And then, Alex, that mental room, you can fill it. You can fill that mental room with actual useful things and, creativity, that probably what they'll need to help them navigate their way forward. But I do feel, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel, and I say this to my wife, our problems are not their problems. Our struggles are not their struggles. When we talk to them about what they need, we have to, and it's so easy to say, we have to remove ourselves from that situation. But part of being international is that we've got all these advantages, but we have to give them the opportunity to take advantage of those. And I don't always know how, right? Like I'm not really sure what that looks like. Kind of you navigate it on a daily basis. I mean, Alex, your girls are older than my children, so you're kind of ahead of the curve there on things that I'm going to probably step into soon. But you kind of like they're surrounded by incredible wealth, but also there's things that they're not faced with as well. So yeah, it's a complicated world that they live in, but being international definitely has huge advantages. Aside from the current, money, which is the first thing people think is the motivator.
And that's a nice segue, actually, because I was interested in your guys' take. Over the last probably 6-7 weeks, we have seen a lot of KHDA notifications come through. I don't know if you're like me, and I know we mentioned this previously, but all my KHDA notifications seem to come through Love in Dubai. It just is what it is. I don't know. But and one of those on there is something you kind of attested to, and I've got it here, Bodruz. Affordability. Mm-hmm. That was it. I don't know if you saw, there was a lady on social media, and it was the cost of putting my kid through school. And it was like 900 and something thousand dirhams. So that's close to £200,000 in UK money. But hell of a lot. And then since then, what we've seen is this concept of, no, we're going to make more affordable. We're going to lower school fees. We're going to make rent more affordable for teachers. You've obviously both seen this. What's your opinion on that, Drew? I'll start with you. What do you think to that?
It's a good question. Before I jump into an answer, I just want to think about how I'm going to word it without offending people. See that? Bodruz has disappeared. It was going to be that. What's he going to say now? He says to hide himself. I don't want to be associated with it.
So just say what you'd normally say.
So in terms of, of course, it's going to be great to make it more affordable for people to live here. I'm all about that. I really am. In terms of making sure, how my question is, what does affordable look like? Is that affordable to the UK standards? Because actually, if you look at what is affordable in the UK now, but what is affordable in the UK? Like, the UK is not affordable. I was reading an article. I think the reason I'm asking this is, or the reason I'm being so hesitant to answer the question is because I was reading this article a few weeks ago that you were talking about, or I think Bodruz just then was talking about the middle class to support the uber rich. Throughout history, it was an article by Gary Economics. You must follow. You must know who this guy is.
I know who he is.
He's taxing wealth in the UK, and it was all about taxing wealth in the UK. And this is going to go into UK politics, I guess, a little bit more than the UAE politics. But to answer your question, I think there needs to be some understanding of what we consider affordable. Now, the middle class has only been around for the past 60 years, 70 years, since the end of World War II, really, according to this article. You've had the rich and you've had the poor, and societal differences between the two have been quite big. But since World War II, that gap has kind of been shortened, or there's been more of a bridge between. So people being able to afford cars, people being able to afford luxury items has increased for everyone in countries like the UK, Germany, and so on. But now that gap is widening, it seems to be going to more of a reset, and there is a disappearance of the middle class, is what this article was saying. And it was just something that I was interested in reading more about, because I don't know too much about it. It's something that I thought, oh, hang on a minute. Maybe this is what is happening, is you've got that kind of top layer of the super, super mega, mega rich, and then the poor, essentially. And your question was about what is becoming more affordable. Well, what do we mean by affordable? Is my kind of follow-up question. I'm just kind of waffling garbage here. I don't know. Because I don't know enough about it. This is kind of my point. I'm not an expert in economics by any stretch. I know not a lot. If things in Dubai become more affordable, actually there are so many affordable things here. Like I can go out and get a shawarma for 5 dirham just around the corner. Like that's affordable to me. That to me, I can live in an apartment that is actually reasonable. So I live in an apartment that is reasonably priced compared to London.
Yeah.
So I was talking to, and compared to Dublin, I was talking to one of my trainers, and we were talking about like cost of apartments, or buying apartments, or renting apartments out here. And where I live is cheaper than it is to live in Dublin in an apartment, in a 2-bedroom apartment. Like so if we're talking about affordability, I think it is affordable here.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The piece came by, and then the KHDA announcement, which wasn't an announcement, it was more of a thought piece, was the concern of the cost of education, and obviously where it's at the moment. And you can look across it and the schools that we've got here, and there is schools that will range from 50,000 dirham up to, as we've seen with the newest one, potentially 200,000 dirham a year to educate your children. And then on top of that, we're looking about, well, we've got one side of parents being able to afford to educate their child, right? Well, if we can't, there's no point being in this country. You've then got teachers, us, who are going, rent is too expensive. Okay, well, if we reduce, and this was the kind of the notion, I think, if they reduce school fees and make it more then accessible for parents, and if they can reduce rent to make it more accessible for teachers, the notion then was, well, then we can reduce teaching salaries. And that's what they was going down the line of, in terms of if we reduce all these things, we can reduce the salaries for teachers. And I was like, what? So the knock-on effect of that is, if you want to make this a place where you want world-class teachers to stay, is it within my means to do what I used to be able to do 10 years ago, where it was I could afford where I live, or my school would pay for where I live? Most schools now are just like, no, it's too expensive. You're going to be out far, far away from where you were, or you might be one of those schools that has actually built an accommodation, but now all the teachers don't want to move out because everywhere's too expensive. Everywhere close by to your school is far too expensive. So all these world-class teachers are soon going to go, it doesn't matter how many schools you build here, we're not getting the amount of money, when we're not getting paid a decent salary to just live. All my money goes on rent. And so that's the big question I think we're going to see in the future here is, how do we make schools affordable so people want to stay? How do we make it so that teachers get paid a salary that allows them to thrive, not just survive here, and bring in world-class educators so that the system is cyclically always getting better and better? Because it's all good and well going, hey, Harrow are going to come in. It's going to be these 2 Harrow schools in 2026. It's like, okay, great. But what's the commensurate salaries? Is it what's happening to the rent? What's happening to these areas to keep teachers here? Because otherwise I might go, I like teaching internationally, Singapore, Hong Kong, China,
Saudi.
Those are real problems. And it was that comment that came back from it and it scared me. It's like, okay, so there's a potential that I'm still doing the same amount, but you're going to reduce my salary. Is my rent going to reduce? I mean, we all know how we all know how challenging the rental market is and can be when it's tenants and landlords and where you are. It's an issue the country's facing with a lot more schools opening right now and people wanting to work here. If we are going to do that, where's all the money go? Into these businesses? How does that come back into the education sector? I don't have the answers for it. I'm just posing the provocations, really.
Yeah, interesting out here. You know, we've got a handful of not-for-profit schools. But if you actually look at trying to get your children into those not-for-profit schools, you know, there's a vehicle called a debenture. So if you're corporate and you're very senior, you will have one of the things within your contract would be work for us. We have debentures at XYZ school. And these schools, these top schools, they are the ones that are not for profit. So if I'm trying to understand this right, the schools that are going to, and they pay the best teaching salaries. They are not the most expensive schools, but they do pay. And those are being still, I suppose, presented for the financial elite. Because of vehicles like debentures, right? You're not going to get a debenture as a teacher. Even if you work in a corporate field, you won't get a debenture unless you have a senior role. Yeah. So that's something that you'd get. And that's the company, putting money forward on your behalf to secure a place. I mean, we're talking, when we say not-for-profit, these not-for-profit schools function very much, and they feel very much like some of the best private schools in the UK. Now, love the model and love the idea of that quality. And you talk about affordability, like from a teaching point of view. I think the list of teachers who would want to join those schools is incredibly long. Probably it might be as long as their admissions queue. But those schools, I'm sure you guys have heard, right? They're looking to expand. So Dubai College, they want to create a second Dubai College. Jess have already gone from 6 form entry to 8 form. They've expanded as much as they possibly could, and now they're looking to open another one. Desk, and these are some of the best schools, and they are. I think there's only maybe 5 not-for-profits in the entire, or has that dropped down to 4 because Jebel Ali obviously is no longer a not-for-profit. But I think that if KHDA really want to support that model, how do you encourage more schools to set up in that way? And I think at the same time, I do love the idea of, you talk about Harrow School, or there's Gems Avenue School, and I lose count. There's so many schools. There's Cranley that's been around for quite a while in Abu Dhabi as well. These are quite elite brands and big names, and I love that because it raises the ceiling on the profession. And I think for the experts out here, there's room for them to grow in terms of expertise. But yeah, I suppose there needs to be kind of a growing demand. I know, with some schools, Talim's got their own little branch of Dubai British Schools. They seem to be kind of in a certain tier as well, certain standards, certain quality and price point compared to some of the other schools. So I think there's a lot. Safa British is another one that's got, is gaining a lot of popularity, and it's got that British standard, but it's considered more affordable than some of the most expensive schools. But if you talk about general affordability, Alex, I think in the UK, living in London, starting off at I was at a haberdasher's school, one of the most oversubscribed schools in the entire country. But I tell you what, I was driving, I think I bought my car for about £1,000. But after working for about 3 years at that school, this prestigious, beautiful, Harry Potter-esque, lovely school, I was still annually taking home, maybe it'd work out to 7,500 dirhams a month, and so, within my first year, I think half my A-level class achieved 100%. Out of the 18, I had 4 students who either went to Oxford or Cambridge. So at that level, and my take home pay was 7,500 dirhams. And at that point, living in London, it was getting untenable. And to be fair, many of my colleagues, they used to commute. I commuted for an hour. Many of them lived outside of London because they found it was quicker to take the train to get into Central than it was to live in London. Now, many of us are seeing the development of a lot of communities in sort of outer reaches and, the development of the train system. So I feel like Dubai is going to eventually have that sort of, you're going to have these lovely communities further out that you can hop onto a train and you'll be able to kind of get to where you want to get to. But the problem is the weather. We need that infrastructure. They're building it, but we need it so people can use public transport more regularly. It could be affordable. I think it's like Drew, you're saying, affordability. How do you measure it? I think it is affordable because I'm out in Dubai. I don't still drive that £1,000 car that I was driving around, rickety thing, and so.
I don't know, Bodruz. Do you want to tell everyone what you drive? Should we put you on the spot, or should we just leave that one?
My wife. Can I blame my wife? She bought it.
You can blame her. You can blame. This is just going out on the internet for anyone and any time to come back to. So we might just.
But it's true, right? I think sometimes, like Drew, if we take a hard look at our circumstances, and I think the rent is going the way it's going, and in a way, it kind of has to, because if it didn't, then would we get all these companies building more schools? But then if it keeps going that way, then But then we know lots of people who've moved out to the Jebel Ali side of town. Bit of a drive. Yeah. But do you remember they had villas out there, really affordable at one point anyway, still compared to where we are. So,
but you're also seeing like these places like, sorry to jump in.
Yeah, no.
You're also seeing, places like Expo City, which
so
no
popular.
one lives there now. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
But super affordable property, super affordable prices, really good construction quality because it is EMAR essentially, and I don't work for EMAR or anything like that. I'm not trying to plug it, but if I was going to buy a place here, it's going to be Miras or EMAR. There are other companies out there, and I don't want to defame anyone. I'm not having that kind of heat coming down, but there are areas, especially places I've lived before, from a certain developer, which falls apart.
Stop him now. Stop him.
My editing. I'm going to have to edit so much.
Yeah. Look, I've not said who it is. I've not said where it is. I've not said what it is. But there are places that are not as good build quality, and you can buy much cheaper places, and or you can rent much cheaper places, and then you are going to have you're more likely to have problems with it. And in the same token, you could buy or rent in those places and have absolutely no problem as well. Maybe certain people are just unlucky with property, who knows. But there are affordable places which are not miles away. They are pretty far. You are racking up KMs on a car, but with Sheikh Zayed Road or First Al Khail or Al Khail Road itself, or the 611, all these big major motorways that they've got to be able to allow you to transport to and from, great, but you do need a car. So the metro then is the question. And I don't know if you guys saw the images from Gitex. Have you seen, there's the Gitex, it is called Gitex this morning, that came out of the people trying to get on and off the metro because the metro has just not got the capacity to cope with the number of people that were using the metro to and from. I think it was at World Trade Center. So if there is improvements in the public transport offering, then living in those places, Dubai becomes super affordable. But then what's going to happen to the prices of those places once the metro system's in place to support people being able to get to and from those? And like Bodruz rightly said, the heat means that it's a little more frustrating to have to walk to the metro station from the metro station.
Let's give context to that. We're on the cusp of winter and it's 40 degrees outside. So just to say, we are on the cusp of winter and it is 40 degrees outside. So I know we might sound like, very precious and look at us being international and, Lord knows, but yeah, it's, we know Drew doesn't mind sweating. We've seen those workout videos, but
I hate sweating. I hate sweating, mate. I'm the sweatiest person I know.
But we're not averse to it. We can tolerate it. But doing even the fire alarm drill, and the schools do it, and the image of the staff and children walking back into that building. I'm talking. It looks like people have been throwing buckets of water. It's like Red Nose Day or something, and everyone goes back in the building, hit with AC on the soaking wet. It is a sight to see, and we are on the cusp of winter. It's ridiculous. So you have to, like, even the bus stations, when they make it, they have to do the air conditioned ones, right? I think there is a lot to say about the affordability piece. Like you say, Drew, there's a lot out there in terms of food. There is more affordable housing. But I think that there's another piece that we need to, I'm going to say it. There are stratospheres in Dubai. There are, like any place, it kind of reminds me of London in a way. It's not like not a melting pot, it is a salad bowl. I once heard someone describe where it's a mix of different places. It's like Americans might almost feel like it's a melting pot. You become an American. But in London, you've got, I'll go to North London, you've got a Turkish area there. You go to East London, you've got an Asian area, right? Everyone's together, but they're all in little individual pockets, kind of like a salad bowl. You're all together, but you can see all the individual pieces. And Dubai is very much like that. You can go to different neighborhoods and where you're going to have people from different nationalities, and, you'll have the supermarket will cater to you and what you want. If you want Yorkshire puds, Indira, good luck, might not know what that is. So, right, exactly. Like Christmas comes up, we all go flooding to the same areas because only certain supermarkets are going to have the produce that we're after. So I suppose it's a natural thing, you flock together. But that's where I feel there's a disparity with where people live, because we're sort of nudged towards certain areas because we want to be around. We don't have a family, so we want to be around, at the very least, people with similar values, way of living, and probably you want to be near your friends. So in those communities, there'll be people who you work with. I've got a lot of Expo. You mentioned, I've got a lot of colleagues in my current school who live in Expo. They really love it. It's a great area, but what will happen? Everyone else will hear about that and they'll follow. If they look at the people and say, well, you sound like me, or you look like me, or you're from where I'm from, I'll go along and I think that's where some places are expensive, because it's the permission to be part of that community. So yeah, let's see. I think more as the community grows, the city grows. And as you say, as the price continues, there's going to be that turning point of people will just have to sort of mix into different communities together. That's I think maybe that's inevitable.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start to wrap this up, gents, because I realise that we're sounding like an economic forum now, and which is not a bad thing.
It's fine.
I think
you can just delete everything I was talking about before about Gary's economics.
I think it's a valuable piece for people who are potentially considering moving out here, or people that are currently here and landed. It's something to be mindful of. I think because we've all been here almost decades now, we're kind of touching upon. You become part of the landscape, and these things affect you, and you are more probably ear to the ground with those types of things that are happening, because it has a bigger effect. So, it isn't just necessarily always about teaching and talking about best practices and so on and so forth. Sometimes it's about the real world problems we have on our doorstep. And one of them is, at the moment, cost of things. It's cost of schools, it's the cost of renting, it's all these things we've talked about, be it pros and cons, with the expansion plans of a city that wants to get to 6 million people within the next 5 years. That's doubling. These are good things to be thinking about if you're thinking of working, moving, relocating your entire family. Pros and cons. So good to hear it from the horse's mouths, gents. Good to hear it from both sides. To wrap this up, I have two questions that I've got noted down here. So let's go with this one. If you had to give this half term a school report grade, there we go, what would it be and why? Bodruz, what would you grade this half term as?
Oh, as in my time during this half term?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say good. I'm not going to give it an outstanding. Yeah, we did assessments literally the week, just last week. And when we return towards the end of the week, we need to give those assessments back, which means I've got this week is marking. That's kind of crept in. So, all got market. Yeah, right. Exactly. This is, and not everyone realizes this is the week of getting stuff done. So we all can enjoy summer Christmas, and that's what it is. And, I think, we're all in the same boat, right? Term one is tough. Half term in a way. Okay. Good. With very good features. How about that? Because it's, yes, I've got marking, but I get to do it in my own time. I can go, school is open. So all our schools are pretty much open. If I don't have to drag it home with me. I live very close to school. So for me, I'm going to pop in because I can then dictate how long I spend doing it. And I'll just spend a couple of minutes or as in a couple of hours probably. But it means when I walk out that building, work stays at work. So I have that luxury. I see it that way. And that means I don't have to drag things back and forward. It'd be tough to do it while school was running. So I have to say grateful for that time. Have to appreciate that.
Amazing. Drew, what about you?
So this just shows where I am in my head compared to Bodruz there. When you said a school report and school grade, I was thinking like A, B, C. Bodruz was thinking good, very good, or outstanding. I was like, what? It's been good. You just write that on a kid's report? Like, yeah, it's been good. Good kid. I would go for like probably a B. Why is it not an A? As parents will often ask you when you work in a fee-paying school, how can I get to an A? Well, basically, just more time being able to... More time would be great. I spend... Unlike you there, Alex, with your marking and Bodruz talking about what he's got to do this week. Actually, this week for me is a complete reset. And I'm not saying I do this better than anyone else. I'm really savvy with how I mark. I'm really savvy with how I use my time in school. But if you try and find me during a free period or a PPA time, you won't, because I'm scurried away somewhere, either planning or marking. I don't sit in the staff room. I spend my lunches basically at the desk because I want the time when I leave the building, as Bodruz rightly said. When I leave that building, I am done. That is me for the day. I go home. I've got my space at home. I don't really think about work other than speaking to you guys right now on this, but we're meeting tomorrow where we're not going to talk about work. So it's I'm in that sense, the day-to-day work, I graft. If I didn't have to do that, I could just get paid for nothing. It'd be an A or an A star, wouldn't it? Like, if you could, but you've got that drive, you've got that. The students I work with are absolutely unbelievable. I've got great classes this year. I'm teaching more. How to get an A? I have to teach moral and social studies still. So, which you love. Perks of being a humanities teacher, I guess, if I didn't have to do that. But I'm as close to an A as I think it could be, because most of my classes are sixth form. That's the bread and butter of my career, always has been. I'm getting to do the things that I really enjoy at work. I'm getting to plan events. I would like a little bit more communication or a little more clarity on things that are happening further in future, so that I can effectively plan my events around the other things that are going on. If that was kind of solidified, that's how we could, this year for me, be a little stronger. But actually, it's this first half term's been pretty nice. Why is it not a C or a D? Because I like my students. I like the school I work in. Yeah.
How about you, Alex?
I was going to ask you. A 7.
Yeah, there you go. So I've actually gone
full
for more
spread.
A full, that's what I was exactly thinking. It's like, I'm going to give a report grade, the numerical system, because that's what we use nowadays. So Bodruz has gone from like being back in the 90s. Just the.
I was using the KHDA framework.
There we go. Drew's gone with letters that we none of them use anymore. I'm going to go with numbers. I'm going to go with a 7, which in old money term is like a B anyway. So just so anyone understands. Yeah, mine's a very similar reason. I think I'm still on 21 periods a week, 21 lessons a week, of which I love teaching.
Wowzers.
Yeah. So I get to teach an amazing 6th form class. That's 6 lessons, but they're great. These new year 12 kids, we had a lot of kids in, but they are really good, really enjoyable, nice kids. We've had a really good end of the half term with our student leadership experience. So one of the things from a growing school's perspective, and we put lots of this out on social media, is they organised this, and it was just fantastic. We did a whole hustings week with interviews with the kids. They were out and sort of bribing kids, I think is the wrong word, but they were out promoting and doing kind of that typical political walks of things, which is really, really good. But I'm similar. I think Mondays and Tuesdays, I just don't spend any time in the 6th form centre or in my office whatsoever. I'm in the lab because I'm planning and marking. I'm having to go through things. And that's just part and parcel of being a teacher. I think no teacher is going to say, hey, I'm an A* 9, because the reality is we do it because it's part of the job. We love the job. But no teacher's really going to turn around and go, I really love marking. It's like, yeah. We do it, and there's times where it's like we want to make it as easy, as effective as possible. We understand the premise of it, we understand the significance and importance of it, like for kids and feedback and moving forward. But I would much rather and do spend 90% of my time planning really good lessons and really enjoyable lessons, and the other part just like live marking, going around and ensuring that. And so for me, it's been a really good one. Lots of energy, lots of new things, lots of wonderful kids, new staff coming in. Love my lab space. I get a great view out over JVT. But yeah, it's just, I think it's a solid 7, and to get to an 8, I think it's more a case of Alex needs to be better with his time planning. So probably take a leaf out of Drew's book in terms of just prioritizing things. Though I've spent a lot more time with the girls and Kerry this half term because I've done less of this, which just sounds weird, but I've kind of taken a step back from a lot of the social media, podcasting, all these different things, even LinkedIn stuff, to spend more time with the kids, to spend more time with Kerry. And I felt better for it, which is a weird one. So I'm giving it that.
But that is just the most important thing, isn't it? The time you get to spend with family. And I think if anyone's going to take anything away from our economical debate of the day and all the kind of stuff that we've discussed, I think it's the kind of functionality behind what we're saying here is just enjoy the experiences that you're having no matter where you are. Just try and make the most of where you're at right now. Don't get yourself bogged down with the day-to-day. Oh, I've got to mark these books. Oh, I've got to plan this lesson. Oh, I've got parents' evening this evening. I've got ECAs. I've got blah, 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 blah. Just enjoy whatever it is you're doing. That's what I kind of taken away from today is take the time to have a step back and spend time with family, as you said there. Getting involved, getting, like you said, Bodruz about Lucius and his modeling career, but even if that doesn't take off, and I've seen your kid, man, he's a very good looking kid, so there's that side of it, but even if that doesn't take off, you've got the memories of you dressing him up in those outfits, you've got those photos, you've got that time, you spend that time together. How amazing is that? Take the wins, enjoy where you are.
Gents, it has been an absolute pleasure listening to our ramblings today. I can't wait to go back through and edit this and
heavily edit
and listen to any kind of sense that we made for those people. If you have basically listened all the way through and got this far, medals.
Well done.
I think, it's always a medal. And I'm sure if you have got this far through, I imagine you cannot wait to hear how the next half goes when we start getting back together and talking about all things education over the next 6 weeks and how it's gone.
We'll do a proper one next time. We'll do it properly.
This is proper. Anyone would think this was unplanned. I have questions and stuff here. They're just down here on my phone.
Didn't share them with us though, did you?
Well,
no, because there's an element of surprise there. I've got to keep you on your toes.
That word innovation.
Anything we need to prepare, Alex?
Ask you about that,
mate. I'm just going to ask you about the economic region.
Yeah.
We need the king of AI. We need the king of AI to talk to us.
Who's that?
That's you. That's you, Alex. That's you.
Me?
That's you.
It's more like a jester. I'm more like a jester of AI, I think. I'll take that one there. But, gents, other than that, it's been an absolute pleasure. And as we said, we are going to be getting together in real life tomorrow. And I imagine at some point soon, actually, we're going to do some more in real life podcasts as well.
Yes.
As the weather cools down, which would be amazing.
Don't bring any kit tomorrow, though.
No kit tomorrow. I'm not making more work for myself.
No.
Yeah, but if you're lucky enough, you might see some social media posts, just some photos. Yeah, got some birthday photos that look like that, haven't we, Drew?
We've got a great one of me, you, and Dan. I've got a great photo of Dan riding a camel.
Dan Fitzpatrick. We just clear this one up. Yeah, Dan Fitzpatrick. I'm sure he'd love to have that one out and about, wouldn't he? Anywho. Oh, yes.
So you guys went out the other week. Where was my invite? You went to? Did you get a time out?
He just asked me. He said he was very quickly in the country. We're running this on air, by the way. I'm going to edit this one out. Just obviously he knows who are the important people in Dubai, and when it comes to things. He did actually, to be honest, to be fair, he messaged me and just said, look, I'm here very quickly. He's like 2 days. Do you want to come for some lunch? And we were there, we were having a chat. He said, oh, please send my regards to Drew and everything. And I hope he's well and say hello to him for me. So I thought I'd save it to when I actually saw you in person.
Cheers, Dan. I'm watching you, mate.
All right, gents, enjoy the rest of the day. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care. Love to the families.
See you tomorrow.